What's going on, guys? Abe here, and today we're going to review the Phearable Stage 2 tune for the Civic Type R. Alright, so Phearable Stage 2 tune. I don't know how some people feel about a off-the-shelf kind of style tune. To be honest with you, I was extremely skeptical when I first heard about it, but I heard too many good things to turn away from it. So I initially got the Type R to keep stock, right? No bolt-ons, no nothing. So just to give you background, before this car, I had a 550 horsepower 9th gen Civic Si, and I've done the fast stuff, I've raced and stuff like that, and I had a good time with it. So when I considered buying the Type R, I was like, you know, I'm gonna get a car, I'm just gonna chill with it, I'm not gonna do too much, kind of just want to keep it laid back. But that's not the case with me, to say the least. Every car I've ever had, I've modded, and life's too short to stay stock, guys, straight up. So let's go back to why I bought the tune, though. Because the car from factory, it's pretty slow, right? I went out and got Honda, and I loaded one of the calibrations, and it was okay, but I wanted a little bit more, so that's how I rolled upon the Fearable tune. I mean, I've gotten, you know, dyno tuned in the past and stuff like that. Dyno tune, for the longest, I was like, dyno tuning is king, whatever. But then I've also, you know, dabbled around with street tuning, and street tuning is also really good. I think they're both really good. The dyno's really good at measuring power and seeing your power band, seeing when the power comes in and stuff like that. So the graph from a dyno is a good reference to see how the car is making power and where it's making power. Street tune, I found that street tuning was better suitable for me at a certain point, because I was constantly sharing data logs back and forth with my tuner, and we were able to dial in the car that way. Anywho, so that's why I was a little skeptical with a off-the-shelf style tune like Fearables. But boy, has it proved me wrong. Gave it a chance. It cost 250 bucks. So I was like, what do I have to lose? Yes, 250 bucks and maybe a few races. And I was just like, you know what? If I lose too much, I'll just go ahead and get a proper dyno tune. So that was my mindset. But man, it has performed extremely good, guys. And you've seen some of my videos, and I've been super shocked with every race that I win. Even some of the ones that I lose. Like, I'm just surprised that the car keeps up with what it keeps up with. So let's kind of like talk about the tune a little bit. So it's or what Fearable kind of says it makes, because we're just talking about numbers, or we can talk about numbers all day or whatever, but what's most important is how the car performs, right? But Fearable says the car makes about 380 something. I forgot the exact figures, but I'll pop it up on the screen here so you can see. And I was like, man, does it really promote a tune that makes that much, you know, from an off-the-shelf tune making that much power? And in my head, I was like, if it makes around 370, I'll be happy, because there's a lot of full bolts on, you know, Type R's that make like 370 with a custom dyno tune. So I was a little skeptical. Anywho, so I went and bought the tune again. It was 250 bucks. I was like, what do I have to lose? I went ahead and loaded it in, and off the get-go, comparing it to a Honda off-the-shelf calibration, one of the preloaded maps that you get with Honda, just partial throttle, you know, just day-to-day driving was so much more responsive. And in my head, I was like, man, the Type R should have just came like this from the factory. And I was just like, and when I initially got the Honda calibration loaded in the car, I was like, man, Honda should have came out with the car like this, with the Type R like this. And then Fearable just takes it to the next level. I love the torquiness that it gives me. I don't have to really get, you know, halfway on the throttle to pick up, you know, some speed or whatever. I mean, that kind of goes hand in hand with the small turbo. I get that, but with that with Fearable's touch to it, it just makes daily drivability so much better. There's no hesitations within, you know, within the power band when you're, you know, within partial throttle as well. The short-term fuel trims look freaking amazing. So everything was done perfectly, like perfectly on this off-the-shelf tune. It's almost, dude, it's like, I feel like that I got accustomed to on the car when it's legit a off-the-shelf tune. I always drive the car in Plus R as well. So in one of the, so if you go ahead and buy the tune from Fearable, you can select that option to have the car start up in Plus R. That's a preference of mine. So we talked about the partial throttle and how great it is. It's awesome. So let's kind of like, let's talk about one of the features that it kind of, that Fearable kind of tweaked. So Honda has a traction control feature that Fearable went ahead and, you know, customized that to his liking or to what he think is best for the car, and it does a really good job. I always keep my traction control enabled through the cruise control button. I don't turn it off because it helps me out to get a jump on a lot of other cars. I'm still on the stock 20s, and with those, and the tires aren't too bad, to be honest with you. Some people say they're horrible, but with the traction control, they're pretty decent. So Fearable did a great job with the traction control on this thing, man. It really hooks. It spins a little bit. I mean, first gear, I mean, whatever. What front wheel drive car really hooks in first gear when it's making over 300 horsepower? Like, probably not, unless you have some real sticky tires and you're on the drag strip. So yeah, the power is great in this car. So the traction control is awesome. I can keep going on and on about it. So let's start talking about, oof, can't even talk, guys, Jesus Christ. So let's talk about the top end power and the raw power that this tune gives you. Again, I'm freaking shocked every time I race. So in this next video clip, I'm going to show you a before and after the Fearable tune. The before, I'm going to show you the Honda off-the-shelf map, or one of their preloaded maps. And this is when I had no downpipe, no intercooler. I just had a drop-in high flow air filter. So I'm going to show you the before and after now. It was versus a Honda Accord. And here it is. That was the clip, that was the before clip. Now I'm going to show you the after clip once I bought the Phearable Stage 2 tune, and you're going to see how great the car performs afterwards. 1, 2, 3. So that's it. So Fearable, I think he promotes or kind of says the car makes around 350 something with just his Stage 2 tune, with really no downpipe or no intake or whatever. Just a stock car can make 350 horsepower with his Stage 2 tune, and I think that's pretty close. That's pretty close to what I think it is, because that Honda Accord is on has a Type R turbo, and it was on E30, so it was making some pretty decent power. Okay, so the next level of it. So I had this tune with basically no bolt-ons, just a drop-in filter, and then I also had the tune when I went downpipe, intercooler, and intake. So I'm going to show you an example here, a really good example of that before and after as well. So I'm going to show you the before of how the car performed with no intake, or sorry, with no PRL high volume intake, with no downpipe, with no intercooler. But this was the Phearable Stage 2 tune, and it was against a supercharged 8th gen Civic Si, and here it is. That was the before run. Now I'm going to show you the after. The after is once I installed the downpipe, the PRL, high volume intake, and intercooler, and you'll see how much more power the car picked up, which is a given. When you add a downpipe and the mine is catless, and you free up, airflow, you're going to get more power, but it really made a lot more power. So that was a race against the 8th gen Civic Si supercharged. He tells me he makes around 350 is what he told me, and that's pretty decent. Those cars are a lot lighter than the Type R. The Type R is pretty heavy compared to the older generation Civics, like the 8th gen, the 9th gen, and generations before. This is, I believe, is 3,100 pounds, 3,200 pounds, something like that. Someone could correct me, but that just goes to show you again that the tune does perform well. Now, there are two different calibrations that I got from Fearable. So if you do decide to go the route that I did, because I initially didn't think I was going to add a downpipe or anything like that, you can ask for the calibration for the downpipe, intake, and intercooler, and he'll shoot that over to you. So they're two different calibrations, FYI, in case you guys wanted to know. So now let's kind of move ahead to what I have raced recently with this tune, and boy, I was surprised. And you guys, if you follow me on Instagram, or if you're subscribed to the channel, you'll know what I'm talking about. I raced another Honda Civic Type R on a custom street tune with a Honda fuel system. He also has a catless downpipe, and he has a drop-in panel filter for his stock intake. And he told me he was around 400 something horsepower was his ballpark. And I'm going to show you the clips. I know you've seen it before, but here it is in case you haven't. Yeah, my car was the camera car, and you just see how great this freaking tune is, guys. It's so good, and I hope that my experience and me visually showing you how great it can perform will convince you to go ahead and buy it. Again, it'll save you a trip to the dyno. It'll save you headaches of sending calibrations back and forth when you're doing an e-tune or a street tune with your tuner or whatever. It just one stop and go. You order the tune, he sends it to you, and you're ready to rock. I was not asked by Fearable to make this review. I've had a lot of people ask me about my opinion, and I always tell them to do it. I have nothing to lose. So here it is again. I wasn't asked by John Vega or Fearable/Fearable to make this review. I just felt like it just needs to be known out there that this tune is really freaking good. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment and subscribe as well. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Easy.